Let me not beat around the bush and come out right away and say Chivalry 2 is great. If that's what you wanted to hear, I guess you can shut the video off and go by and start playing it, but that wouldn't do the game justice for what they've accomplished here. Give me a chance to elaborate. And welcome to Level-Headed Gamer, your gaming source for gaming news, discussions, impressions, and reviews. Now, I'm a huge history buff, and I've always craved for multiplayer games that would center themselves around melee combat. But games before this one wasn't able to capture that perfect blend of complex combat mechanics that were actually extremely intuitive and easy to pick up, but hard to master, and this epic movie scale of sieges that require you to complete multiple phase objectives to secure a victory. I've played games like Mordhau, which to me didn't capture that grandiose feeling of Chivalry 2, or in my opinion didn't have the snappy intuitive combat, or something like For Honor, which does have nuances to combat, but lacks the realism or the scale of Chivalry. But then again, Torn Banner Studios are the pioneers of the multiplayer melee combat mechanics with the first game, so they've had that experience under their belt, and I do appreciate being able to play in third or first person mode. You will fight across 8 maps and 3 modes and use 4 classes which in themselves have 3 variations and their own special abilities. Like the archer has a brazier to light his arrows, or a footman soldier has the ability to give medkits to his allies. I predominantly play the objective-based 64 player matches myself, but the inclusion of deathmatch and team deathmatch is nice. Now that's not a lot of content at launch, to be frank, but if you go to the official website and check out their community page, you'll see how passionate the developer is and that they're intending to expand the game as the time goes on, and not to mention it's not a fully priced game. It will run you $39.99 here in the United States, so no matter which platform you get it on, you'll also get a free upgrade for the next gen consoles. Not to mention there's full crossplay enabled, but then again it is on the shorter side of content at launch. The only couple negatives I have with this game is the last gen performance was quite underwhelming. I first got to play the game actually over the weekend a little bit early on PS4 Pro, and the dip in graphics, more noticeable pop-ins, and overall lack in detail and atmosphere was a huge bummer for me. It was quite noticeable, especially when you turn on the PS5 version after that. But at least it runs at a pretty solid 30 frames per second, and on PS5 the game looks great running at 60 frames per second, what looks like 4K upscale resolution, but don't quote me on that, and the detail in textures and overall quality and feel is night and day difference, and of course the PC being the ultimate version. The haptic feedback and adaptive triggers are so minimal, I don't think they're worth even mentioning. There is an Epic Store exclusivity with this game on PC platform that's timed, and I think that's something to know for some people. It might be an issue. But the graphics overall, you know, they're not going to blow anybody away, but the game does look nice in my opinion. And the second issue is that the game does have microtransactions, but fear not, they're cosmetic only. Since you can customize your character's looks, armor, weapons, you can earn actually enough in-game currency to buy whatever you want without ever spending a dime, so I guess it's a good compromise. And it seems like the prices are fair for the in-game currency items. However, those two small grievances do not detract how fun this game is. This is like basically Battlefield in Middle Ages, so just imagine that and you'll know exactly what to expect. And I love how self-aware the kind of this game is. It has a silly side to it. Its emotes are absolutely hilarious, and you have the ability to throw anything at enemies, even dung or bread or food, whatever it may be. I was throwing chandeliers at people in the game. When someone chops your arm off, you still have the ability to swing with your sword, and in one instance, actually out of desperation, I tossed my knife at the enemy one-handed and actually took them out and then bled out myself and died. And I was giggling through the whole time throughout that fight. The biggest draw in this game is the authentic armor and weapon designs, and maps, despite looking simple from the first glance, have awesome scenarios like escorting siege towers to scale walls of a castle, breaching the inner city, and eventually killing the king. It's setups like this that make each match feel epic, especially with the initial rush that happens at the start of every match with your captain amping you up for the fight. And smart and experienced players can actually take on multiple enemies at once, and every weapon has its own weight and feel and strategy to it. Without giving super detailed description, this game is like a Street Fighter in the sense that seemingly you don't have a lot of moves to play with, but with time and experimentation you'll learn it's actually how you combine available tools you do have to dominate the battlefield. For example, when to dodge or when to parry, the difference between the riposte or a perfect riposte, whether you should fake or dodge out of the way or toss your weapon at the enemy, and so on like that. There's a lot of strategy to it, and I'm sure people will have whole videos on the advanced fighting techniques in the coming weeks. There's an archer class as well, and they're super useful, but to me, it's not really fun to play with. And do be careful when swinging your sword around, there is team damage. My only hope is that the idea of this game expands to other cultures, eras like Vikings, Musketeers, or let's say Mongolian hordes or samurai. But other than that, I cannot recommend this game enough. And if you're looking for a multiplayer game set in the medieval ages where you defend or siege castles, then this game is right up your alley, and I have no doubt you will like it. Whether you're a competitive player or just want to sit back and chill and just kind of chop a couple of heads off, I think this game is just perfect for you. But for those who have actually gotten the game and start playing it, let me know down below in the comments, what do you think of this game yourself? Are you going to be picking up this game overall, and on what platform? And guys, if you did enjoy this review, make sure to subscribe down below for more gaming reviews, news, impressions, and discussions overall. And enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Enjoy some Chivalry 2.